Just verifying if we have quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Two in the waiting room.
Okay. Thanks. You have a quorum, Madam Chair.
We do.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, then let's call the November 2nd Transit Advisory Committee meeting to order. First up will be roll call. Rhonda.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the TAC.
I'll go to my office.
Right. Okay. Coconino County, Tiffany Kerr.
I am here. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Coconino County Citizen Representative Carol Covington.
Also present.
City of Flagstaff, Greg Clifton and Jeff Bowman are excused. City of Flagstaff Citizen Representative Michelle James.
I'm here.
Thank you. And alternate Carlton Johnson. Oh, he's joining us right now. Carlton, are you with us?
Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you. Metro Plan Dave Wessel.
I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. NAU Aaron Stamm
Here.
and alternate Rafi Rivera.
Present.
Thank you. NAU student Maria Matchler.
Present.
Thank you. CCC Kurt Stull.
Good morning, present.
Good morning. And Economic Development Representative Gail Jackson. I know Gail is expecting to join us, but perhaps isn't on yet. So we'll watch for her to join the meeting. We also have Chris Beecher, our attorney, with us.
Morning, everybody.
Morning. We have staff in the Vera room at Mountain Line and on Zoom. And Gail Jackson is now joining us. Good morning, Gail. Are you with us?
I'm here. Sorry.
Great, thank you. That completes our roll call. Turning it back to you, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. Next on the agenda is the Safety Minute with Sam Short.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Transit Advisory Committee. This month's Safety Minute is on winter walking. The winter months are here and can be dangerous when walking on snow or ice-covered surfaces. To avoid falling when walking on snow or ice, you should take your time and walk slowly, taking small steps. Point your toes slightly outward and keep your body weight over your feet. Your hands should be kept out of your pockets to help you balance, and it is very important that you wear the proper footwear. Like the ice and snow traction footwear that Mountain Line issues to employees as a safety precaution. These are worn over your other footwear during inclement weather to help prevent slip and fall accidents during inclement weather. If you need a pair of ice or snow traction footwear, please see Sam Short, the Workforce Director. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Transit Advisory Committee, and welcome to the November TAC meeting.
Thank you, Sam. Next, milestone anniversaries. Heather.
All right, I have 2 milestone anniversaries to share with you today. On the left-hand side of your screen is Will Yazzie. Will is celebrating his first anniversary at Mountain Lion. And I would like to share, a year ago, Will started with Mountain Lion a bit apprehensive about operating a large bus. Who wouldn't be? And has since developed himself into a true asset. Will's personal drive and enthusiasm has given Mountain Lion a great operator, and he has proven his self-dedication. So we're excited to celebrate Will's first anniversary here at Mountain Lion. And our second 1-year anniversary is Richard Fox on the right-hand side of your screen. Richard began with Mountain Lion full-time and quickly became one of our top operators. He has excellent people skills and gives outstanding customer service. Richard has expressed his desire to stay with Mountain Lion, although he is a full-time enrolled student pursuing an education in forestry and firefighting. So he does work for us part-time right now and self-schedules his shifts around his study schedule. We're very excited to celebrate Richard's ongoing commitment to Mountain Lion and his first anniversary. And those are our 2 milestone anniversaries this month. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Next is call to the public. Are there any comments or members of the public?
Madam Chair, we received no written comments via email, and there are no members of the public in the room.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks, Rhonda. Next is approval of the TAC minutes from September 7th. First, are there any comments or questions regarding the minutes? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
David Wessel,
Michelle,
so moved.
Michelle?
I was going to say, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Michelle. Can I get a second?
This is David Wessel, I'll second.
Thanks, Dave. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are so approved. The only consent item is not normally presented, just an opportunity if anybody had any questions on updated personnel policies. Okay, we will continue along to our discussion items. First up is Heather with the 2024-25 legislative priorities.
Right, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Transit Advisory Committee. This is a follow-up item to last month's discussion at our joint meeting. Last month meeting, I think just a little over a week ago. We took feedback from the meeting last week, and you're going to see that in a couple of the presentations. One thing I would point out, I'm going to go through all of the different segments of priorities, but there is one small change from what we presented in October. We did drop the priority to seek new funding programs. That was an initiative of the Southwestern Transit Association, and we really feel like Mountain Lion needs to focus on annual appropriations from the BIL bill, as here on the screen, and then policies, which is on the next screen. We will continue to advocate that new revenue sources or revenue generators are identified, as the federal gas tax will continue to face challenges as vehicles either increase in fuel efficiency or move away from fuel as its power source. So these two are, they were on our federal priorities a year ago. They will continue to be on our priorities as we move into the next calendar year. The third federal priority, as alluded to on the previous slide, is really update to transit regulations. These are but a few of the policies being discussed at the national table regarding transit and transit programs. Transit has faced numerous challenges that are different in today's market than 20 years ago. And we believe that some of the policies going back to original transit enabling legislation in the 70s are now out of line or out of date and out of line with the goals of the current administration. So we'll continue to advocate that the Federal Transit Administration, as they set new rules and new authorization bills, accommodate changes in the regulations. Moving to the state priorities, these are all pretty much the same. The first one is a new, but it is not new to our discussions. We really continue to talk about how to make available reoccurring funding for transit agencies in Arizona. Currently, the state does not have a reoccurring source. And so it's a battle with the legislator every year if we want to try and achieve funding for transit programs. Mountain Line is an active member of our statewide transit association, and we've worked hard to establish the relationships necessary to advance these priorities. While some of these may sound impossible in our current political environment, we will continue to advocate for these policy updates. Sorry, I have a typo and now I don't know what this statement is. As a way to advocate for transit as a transportation partner around the state. And the last in this document is the local priorities. Looking locally, Mountain Line is fortunate to have great partners at the city of Flagstaff, and we feel like we are in a good position with the priorities listed here to continue the collaborative approach that we've established that will serve our entire community. And with that, those will be the proposed legislative priorities that go to the Board of Directors for adoption later this month. I would be happy to go back to any slide or revisit any of the items as you wish.
Thanks, Heather. Comments or questions for Heather on this topic? Hearing none and seeing no hands. We're not seeing any hands. We will move on to the next item is an update on the 12 to 18 month work plan. Heather.
Going to be the Heather show today. So this also is a follow-up to last month's conversation. It is time for the board to set the 12 to 18 month work plan that supports implementation of the 2020 to 2025 strategic plan. The information on the following slide are proposed updates to the current plan. We have removed completed items as discussed last month and added some to reflect the work plan for the next 12 to 18 months. I want to recognize that while I'm privileged to share this information, it is really here at the effort and work of the team here at Mountain Line. So many of these items came from those staff members based on the work they're doing in our areas. And to set the stage as we go through these slides, any item bolded is an ongoing item from our prior work plan that we are still working to complete. And my presentation today will focus on the things that we are adding. So let me change my notes here on the screen. So starting with goal 1, as you can see on the screen here, the first goal of the strategic plan is service excellence. And we have 3 objectives under service excellence. The first being to deliver service enhancements that are in line with our 5-year transit plan and that make transit an attractive mode choice. So the updated work plan items here are to identify the funding mechanisms necessary to implement the 5-year plan, analyze the timing of Route 7 and implement service changes to ensure reliable service for riders and add adequate layover for our operators. This is a route that regularly pulls into the transfer center and immediately pulls back out. So we want to look at what can we do to improve that. Third is to coordinate with MetroPlan's West Route 66 plan to design the expansion of Route 8 to Woody Mountain Road with permanent stop improvements and pedestrian crossings. So currently Route 8 only goes to where the old Daily Sun was at. This would take us all the way out to Woody Mountain Road. Next is to analyze the feasibility of serving the Plaza Vieja neighborhood by rerouting Route 8. Currently Route 8 goes down to the old Bookman's location and turns onto Route 66, but there's actually no stops between the DCC and that turn. We could route through Plaza Vieja and improve service to that neighborhood, but we need to consider the timing and the impacts. And the last under this objective is to create resilient and reliable transit service through workforce recruitment and retention strategies, as well as ongoing training and development of dedicated customer service focused workforce. That bullet was added at the recommendation of the board and the TAC at last month's meeting. I'm just going to pause briefly on each of these to give you an opportunity to ask questions if you have them. Otherwise, I'll just keep moving.
Any questions or comments for Heather? Okay, keep on.
All right, the second objective under service excellence is to invest in capital to improve efficiencies and infrastructure to enhance service delivery. And again, those in bold were already here, so I'm not going to spend much time on them. We did add complete final design and construct the Caspar maintenance facility improvements that are already underway through grant funding. Continue pursuit of signalized intersection at Phoenix Avenue and Milton Road, and pursue funding opportunities if successful in getting that intersection approved. So the jurisdictional partners on that include the Arizona Department of Transportation. So that is a big lift that Ann and her team have been working on, but that would be crucial to enhancing our service delivery and efficiencies. The bottom two bullets implement a new computer-aided dispatch and automatic vehicle location system. Most important part of that is improving our real-time arrival solution for our riders. It'll improve bus reliability for dispatch and customer-facing apps. We actually are in a demo period right now with 3 of our routes having the new technology on them so that we can ensure that it is the right solution. And the last bullet here is to complete a study on what improvements are necessary to facilitate a left turn from Gemini Road onto Cedar Road. This is where the pork chop is, where you can only make a right turn coming out on the west side of Cedar Hill. This would allow for permanent transit route service and structure to improve Route 2 efficiency and increase access to service on the Mesa. Because we cannot make this left turn, it's currently only a deviation that goes in and out on the east end of Gemini. All right, so no questions, I'll keep going. Objective 3, develop and improve community partnerships and interagency relationships to enhance transit and improve our ability to meet community needs and deliver public transit services. So we have added several under this section because we have completed several under this section. So we will continue to coordinate with the City of Flagstaff's code project to better integrate transit into city code. We will go forth and present findings to City Council for consideration and adoption. In coordination with the City of Flagstaff, plan and construct the projects associated with the first last mile grant. This was bike and pedestrian improvements adjacent to transit routes. Provide consistent and timely feedback on City of Flagstaff road related capital projects to ensure transit is integrated. I have moved the fare items from financial to service excellence, just to want to note that. So these 2 are enhanced from last year, but they were previously under fiscal responsibility. And that is evaluate fare program changes to address equity concerns and improve access to transit service for communities and riders that are generally transit dependent and face financial hardship. That is actually a brand new bullet. And then evaluate service impacts of implementing a zero fare program, and if desired, identify alternate funding to replace loss of fares to implement a zero fare program. So that was in the prior 12 to 18 months, just moved and rephrased slightly. And that's the final objective under the first goal. So I'm not seeing any hands or questions. I'll keep moving. Goal 2 is stewardship of resources. So the first objective is to be exemplary at supporting community goals towards environmental sustainability. And you can see at least half of these are ongoing and are related to really the transition to zero emission buses and our sustainability certifications as a result of our construction projects. We did add monitor performance of battery electric buses using maintenance records and performance indicators to determine feasibility of ongoing transition to EV in the immediate bus replacement process. And then the last bullet, develop a formal program to engage our leadership team here at Mountain Line in actively riding transit and sharing our experiences to the benefit of our staff and our riders. Oh, I'm hitting my mouse, sorry. The next goal is to maintain our facilities and equipment to demonstrate the pride we take in service excellence and to maintain their useful life. These are mostly ongoing. We did add evaluate our current transit asset management software for effectiveness and usability. If necessary, update and or purchase a new solution to ensure records provide information needed and support objective of tracking maintenance per policy and documenting replacement triggers. All right, still no questions. I'll just keep moving. Moving on to goal 3, investing in our workforce. We have spent a lot of time the last 12 months just focused on recruitment and retaining. We hope to be able to focus on some of these ongoing tasks, and we've added a couple. Per the conversation last month, we did develop a post-training assessment program to help measure training effectiveness for all departments and divisions. And then we also added complete construction and open our CDL testing and training facility by March of 2024. The next objective under invest in our workforce is evaluate operational structure to find efficiencies in service delivery and reduce cost. We enhanced the first bullet, but the bolded piece is a carryover. We are really working to figure out how to offer a variety of schedules to our transit operators, looking at a new hybrid method that allows our traditional staff who prefer bidding to bid with newer staff who want flexibility to participate in what we call open board scheduling. We're hoping that that hybrid will add to the work-life balance we can offer our staff. And then we also added a project that we have ongoing right now, which is finalize a mobility study to evaluate current paratransit and microtransit operations, and then implement adopted strategies to increase rider and community access to on-demand transit services in a cost-effective and efficient manner. There was some jargon there, so I'll pause in case there's questions. And the third objective under investing in our workforce is enhance workplace culture to support employee development and work-life balance. And you can see all of these are bolded because they are ongoing efforts on our part. And that's everything under goal 3. So I'll roll right into goal 4, enhanced safety culture. So there are a couple objectives under this particular goal. The first is to develop a holistic safety plan that guides us to effectively and proactively manage risk. I will tell you, we have an adopted safety plan. It is in the process of being updated for the electric vehicles that we have taken in-house, but all of the things under this objective are really designed to support implementation of that safety plan. So we have 4 items that are carryovers from the prior year, but we have added to that that we will develop a safety and training plan for fleet, facilities, and operations on proper procedures and best practices for incorporating electric vehicles into our fleet and facilities, as well as to address the new electric charging equipment and infrastructure needs. So unlike adding a hybrid bus, there is some steps we need to take as we continue moving forward with electric vehicles and the charging infrastructure. The other objective is to manage transportation facilities and amenities to support a safe environment for staff and customers. And all of these bullets are carryovers and are in progress currently. The last objective under enhanced safety culture, and I apologize, it's not numbered correctly, but it is the third objective. Utilize available and emergent technology to enhance existing and future fleet, optimizing safety for all staff and public transportation users. So the middle bullet is a carryover, but we have added that we will continue our attempts to partner with local first responders regarding training and best practices for safety issues associated with the electric vehicles and charging infrastructure. It's important that our fire and police know how to handle potential safety problems in the public eye with those. And then we are purchasing a bus simulator. A bus simulator is a simulated training environment that looks like the driver is in a bus on a public street, but it's all simulated activity. And then to develop a shared use plan for offering that simulator to our local and regional partners to advance safety and training of all bus drivers in the region. All right, we're almost done. Goal 5, community engagement. Our first objective is to encourage active participation from a supportive network of stakeholders. So we've kept a couple things here because they're good objective or good ways to carry out this objective. We have added, per the October discussion, engage influential key stakeholders in representing Mountain Line at events and sharing messaging about the importance of transit. And then we've also added engage the Citizen Advisory Committee and other resources to determine a recommendation on what tax initiatives to pursue in the November 2024 election. The second objective under community engagement is to increase the community's awareness of Mountain Line's value to the community. I do think Mountain Line is seen as a value per all the most recent surveys, but we want to keep them thinking that way. So we've added a couple of new items for the coming 12 to 18 months. The first is the second bullet should be bolded. This is an ongoing, which is conduct educational campaign about the role transit plays in supporting a wide variety of community goals. That was there last year, and I apologize, I overlooked it. The new one that we've added is to develop a marketing campaign to highlight transit usage during significant downtown area construction. This bullet did come out of feedback with our local elected officials as we look at all of the different projects that we'll be constructing in the downtown area at the same time. And our last goal is fiscal responsibility. So we have 3 objectives under this goal. The first is to ensure a sustainable financial future through long-term financial planning. The first bullet is a continuation, which was related to our compensation plan. We did add evaluate service delivery and marketing efforts through the lens of actual performance indicators to ensure continued eligibility for small transit intensive cities funding. That's that federal funding we get for being a high performing transit system. And then seek new and update existing partner agreements to reflect current conditions and that contain the financial resiliency needed for future capital and operating plans. And the example is the transition to zero emission buses. This was previously under service excellence. We moved it to fiscal responsibility because it's really about the finances and securing that future for transit programs. Second objective is to diversify funding sources to reduce dependency on federal funding for ongoing operations. So we have 2 continued items here, adding consider the value of disposing excess real property through sale to gain additional local match of future capital needs. So Mountain Line does own real property that is currently not being used for transit purposes, and we will be having conversations in the coming months about if we sell that property, could we use the cash match for other capital needs? And the last objective is to expand Mountain Line revenue sources to allow for the full implementation of the 5-year transit plan. Ironically, the first thing we started with under goal 1. And both of these bullets are continuations from the prior year. With that, that's everything that I have related to the 12 to 18 month plan. I know it was a lot. We will send this out as a written document so that you have the time to review it before it goes to the board for adoption in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Heather. Yeah. Any final comments or questions for Heather before we move on? I want to give people a moment, but I know we saw a lot of this before. So yes, Carol.
Well, excuse me. I'm sorry that I was unable to attend the retreat advance last week, but I excuse me, I would have really appreciated being able to see this, you know, if this were part of an attachment as opposed to just getting seeing it now. So that's just a comment in it. But I also wanted to excuse me, as I came back from my vacation with COVID, so excuse me. I would like to suggest that the objectives, it might be useful to label them objective, you know, goal 6, objective 3, for easy cross-reference when referring to it later, but also making it easier for those who are reviewing the documentation to easily navigate it. That was just another side issue. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we will move on. Thanks, Heather. Oh, look, Heather's next. Approve wage increase for non-exempt hourly staff.
Okay, so thanks for listening to that very long presentation. I will try and keep this a little bit shorter. We are asking the board to consider a 60 cent per hour pay increase for all hourly positions, non-exempt positions. And this is a direct reflection of the recently announced local minimum wage increase for our community. Sorry, I don't have my notes up. Mountain Line has an adopted compensation and classification policy. Our policy objectives are to maintain fair classification and equitable compensation. We use both systems of a step table and open ranges to recognize our staff and their longevity. Step tables are 10-year pay tables for our family of operations related positions. These include detailers, bus operators, operations supervisors, and operations coordinators. Our plan is designed to recognize experience, both that an employee brings to Mountain Line when they are hired, as well as the experience they earn while working. It is the policy of Mountain Line to adopt equitable, standardized pay practices for all employees that enable Mountain Line to attract and retain highly qualified employees. It's a quote from the policy that the board adopted in 2021. To meet these goals, we complete a wage study every 3 to 5 years, with our last study being done in the fall of 2019 and the results being adopted in March of 2020 and implemented July 1st of 2020. Additionally, as staffing became a large looming concern during the pandemic, we did ask the board to modify the wages with an across-the-board wage increase of $3 an hour. This was really a result of seeing wages in our community escalate quickly in an attempt to attract the missing workforce we all need. For example, at the time, fast food restaurants were seeing advertising wages higher than what we paid our transit operators. And then lastly, there was a small review done in 2023. I would like to note that the $3 an hour change in 2021 allowed Mountain Line to be ahead of local conditions with a significant change. That we made as compared to the significant change the minimum wage faced in January. We did not see an impact to staffing or recruitment when that minimum wage changed because we were ahead of that curve. We have not experienced a pay freeze since 2016. We did make a decision to suspend pay for performance so that all staff were treated the same in regards to pay changes. Step table positions receive a 4.5% wage change on their anniversary, regardless of performance. People in open ranges at the time were evaluated and then would receive a pay change between 2 and 4%, dependent upon performance. In 2020, we felt this was inequitable to our staff, so we eliminated the pay for performance, and we are now thinking about how to bring that back in an equitable way. We do currently offer the anniversary increases that you can see in the top bullet on the screen, and the 3 pay for performance bonus programs, which are non-base building and one-time payments made available to staff. So what we are asking the board to consider is that the announcement in August about the increasing local minimum wage has resulted in concerns from our team members. As mentioned in the staff report, the job of a transit operator requires a specialized license and a very specific skill set that facilitates customer service for riders while operating a vehicle in sometimes challenging traffic and road conditions. These requirements are significantly different and more complex than other typical minimum wage positions and is deserving of a pay differential. So the change recommended is 60 cents per hour for all hourly, non-exempt staff. It is expected to have a budgetary impact of $56,000. Our fiscal year 2024 budget did include a separate line for the implementation of the 2023 compensation review and our current pay plan. We have about $30,000 of capacity in that line item, and staff are confident that we will have other operational savings to cover the remaining impact of this wage change. So we are asking the board to move all positions by 60 cents an hour, which is exactly what the minimum wage is changing by. And that's everything that I have on that particular item. And as I mentioned, we will be asking the board to consider approving that to be effective January 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Heather. Comments or questions for Heather on this topic? Okay. Oh, Gail.
Hi, Heather, thank you for this great presentation. I'm just curious, was this part of the overall budget, or was this just something that was added? And I'm just curious, like, what is the impact in terms of your payroll? Like,
so our 2024 budget contained a line item for pay plans. It had about $191,000 of capacity. It was designed to capture any pay changes we need to make. And so this 60 cents, a portion of it can still be covered under that line item, which has mostly been committed to our pay plan and implementation of the 2023 compensation review changes that were identified. So we'll have about $26,000 plus taxes and ASRS that is not covered by that line item in our budget. So therefore, this is considered an off-budget request, and that's why it is coming to the board for consideration.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other comments or questions for Heather? Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is not Heather. 2024 board officers, Rhonda.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the TAC. It came to our attention that if the progression went forward with the chair position transitioning to Supervisor Vasquez, that he would be serving potentially in the chair positions for 3 different agencies at the same time. And therefore, we took some proactive measures and asked if he would prefer to not go that route for Mountain Line. And since Chair Williams was willing to continue for another year, we are going to ask the board to enact the continuation for another year for both the chair and the vice chair positions, and then go back to our plan of moving through the different agencies so that he is already the chair of the Board of Supervisors, which is pretty major. And we're just giving him a little break there so he can pick it up in 2025. And since it's agreeable to both of them, I don't foresee that being an issue, but we need the entire board to be on the same page. So we're taking it to them for approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Rhonda. And thank you guys for being so thoughtful and flexible. It can be overwhelming when you have too many, right? You're leading too many groups all at once. Any comments or questions for Rhonda on that one? Assume not. Okay, we'll move on. Next item, battery electric bus pilot update. Heather.
All right. Well, we are moving through this meeting really fast, so I'm hoping this is a little more exciting for all of you to engage upon. I want to start by recognizing that much of the information I'm presenting to you today is thanks to the work of Jeremiah McVicker and Ann Dunno. And they really put together this presentation, so I'm sharing their talking points. with you and then with our board later this month. So here's some important dates around our transition to battery electric buses. I'd like to give a couple of notes. We went into this knowing that battery electric buses is new. It's new technology to our industry. It's also quickly evolving, changing, and hopefully improving. We definitely saw better battery capacity in our vehicles because of the 18 months it took to build and deliver them. That's how quick the technology is changing. When we applied for this funding in 2019, we knew that there would be a large learning curve and a need for the technology to grow and develop, and that we too would need to do the same. The vehicles that we have on property are still warranted, and our staff are shadowing those technicians when they're on site to help us address any emerging concerns. We are also building our tool closet so that we can safely assume proper maintenance as we move towards end of warranty periods. I want to acknowledge that there were some delays in ordering the vehicles, as we wanted to be sure we identified the right options for procuring and determining the battery life and which vehicles. This all played out while we were also surviving the challenges introduced by and during the pandemic. There were several supply chain challenges as parts and components became scarce. Global conflicts further complicated that. For example, our diesel heaters came out of the Ukraine. Additionally, there was an influx of federal funding for bus purchases, increasing the demand on the bus build vendors and increasing the lead time for manufacturing. So a quick look at some performance. The Gillig bus did experience 2 months of not being in service because of equipment that was not related to it being battery electric. It was our fare system, our camera system, and some other things. I want to acknowledge that those service days don't sound very long, considering how long we've had that vehicle on property, but around 60 days of its existence here in Flagstaff was delayed for non-battery electric issues. Some challenges that we have experienced are that charging has failed several times. We also had at least one instance of the batteries overheating that resulted in the coolant pump and controller being replaced. Gillig has been very responsive to troubleshooting and correcting the issues identified, along with Cummins, who is the manufacturer for the batteries and the drive unit. The New Flyer bus, delivered more recently, we have been able to avoid some of the downtime with the New Flyer bus that we experienced with the Gillig because we figured it out with the Gillig bus, if you will. That's the non-battery electric equipment. Some experienced challenges with the New Flyer bus is a low coolant warning. That low coolant warning helps us know that we're at risk of overheating. And then we've seen some electrical issues. To be honest, there was a fuse. So both vehicles had some repair needs while here in service, but all of them were expected. We went into this with our eyes wide open. As with the Gillig bus, New Flyer has been quick to respond to service calls and appear on site. I want to be completely transparent, and I feel like it's critical to note that while I've explained some of the issues we've had with these vehicles and the learning curve, I will point back to when we transitioned from diesel to hybrid electric buses in 2005, and we had some of these same long downtime periods as we learned that technology. We are confident that as we learn more about this technology, these vehicles can be successful here. Couple performance notations. You can see here the average runtime when the vehicles are in service is between 8 and 9 hours. Our service date on most routes is over 16 hours. Buses do return to base when they're at about 30% remaining charge. And that's really as a precaution. Once it reaches that 30%, we're still learning a lot about how quickly they drop from 30% to 0. The average miles that we're achieving per run is 103 miles. And the average charge time once it's returned to base is between 3 and 4 hours. And that's basically to take it from a 30% charge to a 100% charge. Currently, we're able to do that in non-peak hours for electric rates. The cost to charge that vehicle essentially over a 1 month period was about $992. For comparison, the diesel cost for that same period would have been roughly $1,779. So currently, because we can charge that vehicle in non-peak hours, we do see a reduced cost to essentially power the vehicle. But I'll just remind you that the vehicle is only running part of the day, and we need to figure out that range issue. And we know that on-route chargers are going to be necessary for our success. So a couple of things that influence the range of these vehicles, and we're going to learn more about this in the coming months, is the outside temperature. How does cold weather impact that battery charge? How does using the heater impact that battery charge? And then route speed. So higher speed routes that are on higher speed buses that are on higher speed routes use more energy. So they don't have the same range as a bus who moves through maybe residential neighborhoods at lower speeds. And then of course, our driver actions are contributing as well. Activities like rapid acceleration or braking in traffic or in construction zones, we are finding reduces the runtime on these vehicles. I am happy to report that our drivers are asking, how did I do? And it's turning into this little competition about who can get more runtime out of those vehicles. And so it's kind of a fun camaraderie thing going on here at Mountain Lion. So what is really next is that we want to remain flexible with fleet decisions. We need to keep running these buses as much as we can because we need to learn more about range and range issues. We do know that we will have 6 vehicles reach end of life no later than fiscal year 2026. We currently have funding for 4 of those, and so we need to conduct a procurement. One of the biggest issues that we face is charging infrastructure. We know that we need route charging done on route at the Downtown Connection Center, and construction of the bus bays as phase 2 of the Downtown Connection Center includes that charging infrastructure. But construction of that project is pending construction of the Rio de Flag project. And so there may be some timing influences on what do we buy in our next round of replacements. Additionally, we will continue to pursue funding with flexibility. So the 4 buses that we have funding for right now, that grant was written as a low-no, meaning low emission or no emission, which offers us the opportunity to buy more hybrids if necessary due to the timing of bringing that on-route charging online. And then we'll continue to advocate for policy changes around transition to zero emissions, things like the CDL requiring underhood inspections. The electric vehicles, that's significantly different. So how do we impact the CDL program? Spare ratio concerns. Many transit agencies are buying 2 electric buses for every 1 diesel bus that they are replacing. And then of course, back to the legislative priorities, working with the ACC on electric rates in our state and how do we influence some of that conversation. So this was meant to be just a brief update of how things are going. Again, if I go back to the buses, we have only 100 days of service with one of them and less than 15 with the other one. So we will be back with more information in the coming months, but I wanted to at least provide a quick review of where we stand today and really what are the next steps we're taking. With that, Chair Stallman, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and both Jeremiah and Ann are here as well.
Thanks, Heather. Can I just say I'm glad you guys are going first? Anyway, comments or questions for Heather? No, it's really, anytime you change any system, you learn things along the way. And so I appreciate you guys are truly just for your own age that you're gathering the data, you're putting it into perspective, right? I really appreciated the way that you gave the comparison of when we went to hybrid electric, here's the things that we learned. So that is part, of any movement forward is learning as you go along and making improvements. So questions or comments on this topic? I do want to give folks a moment. I'm not hearing or seeing any hands. Well, hearing any voices, seeing any hands.
I don't know why, but the hand function's not working for me. This is Rafi, by the
Oh,
way.
hey, Rob, go ahead.
I do have a question. Is the comment between Gillig and New Flyer, the relationship as far as maintenance and learning what the vehicles can and cannot do, and obviously going through the issues that are happening and then finding resolution? What is the relationship between those two particular companies? Are you seeing a faster response time from one over the other? And then during that time period, are they also partners with you in getting ready and preparing your team for the mechanical issue, the mechanical challenges that'll be coming down the line after the warranties are over or completed or, no longer available?
Thank you for those questions. I'll start and I'll ask Jeremiah to jump in when I miss something or say it wrong. I think the relationship with both of these vendors has been terrific. I would say, yeah, maybe we see a different response time, but that's mostly due to the distance that they're traveling, not in their desire to respond, is my take on it. So they are open and willing to have our team shadow them. And I think that's a huge benefit. We're learning with our feet on the ground. We have tried several times to work out training with these vendors for our team members. And I will say, they, like everyone else across the United States, are facing their own staffing challenges. And I think that has prevented some delays in their ability to meet that need. However, the Federal Transit Administration has set up a national workforce training center, and their number one priority is electric vehicles. So training for drivers, training for mechanics, training for first responders are all amongst their top priorities for getting training out and into the communities that receive electric vehicles federally funded. So those are some efforts that are underway. I think we have an advantage here in Flagstaff because we went from hybrid to electric. So for our team, it was not as big of a leap or change as it is for an agency who's moving from diesel to electric. So many of the components of the hybrid are applicable in the electric bus environment. And so we had a lot of the tools and the skills needed. With that, I'd ask Jeremiah if I missed anything.
The only thing I would add to that is, as the nation pushes with EV, the demand for the training is also a lot higher. So we are just getting in line with everybody else as they're getting done.
Thank you.
I hope that, yeah, sure.
Any other comments or questions for Heather on this topic? Okay, we will move on to progress reports. As a reminder, progress reports are sent out in the agenda packet and are not presented in the meeting unless there is a comment or question. Is there any comment or question on any of the progress reports?
Sheriff Dom, I do have some current events.
Yeah, I was gonna get there. I was letting Rhonda go through. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go. So Heather, current events.
All right, I do only have a couple of things. The first is to celebrate some anniversaries that are not considered milestone, although some of these are significant. Danny Barbie is one of our trainers here at Mountain. He is celebrating his 7th anniversary. Danny is hardworking, and while we don't see much of him in the building, it's because he's always in a van or always in a bus teaching new operators what it takes to become a safe and courteous driver. Danny's conscientious and thoughtful in his approach to being a trainer, and sometimes still steps in to help drive our vehicles. And personally, he has the best dad jokes in the whole building. Just saying. Right in the middle of the top row is Jed Davis, our other trainer. Jed has been employed with Mountain Line for 11 years. He too started out as an operator. Shortly after his hire, Jed was chosen to fill a trainer position due to his unique ability to reach people on a personal level and get them to understand material. Jed is one of those employees who can relate to anyone about anything. And he uses that ability to make training feel personal and more enjoyable without losing the importance of the material presented. Jed is also known around the building for his silly antics and pranks that are designed to brighten our day and make us smile. I am going to talk a little bit about Mandia on the top row, right-hand side. Mandia actually works for MetroPlan, and MetroPlan is all Mountain Line employees. And so I wanted to take a moment to celebrate her years of service. Mandia has 2 years with MetroPlan, and Executive Director Kate Morley had this to share. Mandia has a wonderful eye for design, always makes awesome PowerPoints and other materials look professional, and has brought that same eye and interest to the public involvement and social media aspects of MetroPlan. She's taken on large projects, completing a planning and environmental linkage report for Lone Tree Corridor, and is now leading our major project, West 66 study. It is a joy to have her on the MetroPlan team. She's funny, positive, and a great baker. Moving to the bottom row on the left-hand side, James Olson, who never is seen by anyone, but happens to be in this room today, running this meeting. James is celebrating his 2nd anniversary with Mountain Line. His supervisor had to say, as point person for desktop computer support, James is in many ways the face of Mountain Line's IT department. His knack for troubleshooting is a huge asset. If he can't figure out why something is broken, it probably cannot be fixed. He has an easygoing nature that ensures staff are comfortable coming to him with any questions that we might have. He may want to change his easygoing nature. All right, moving to the last 2 on the bottom, Daryl Snyder and Joe Watt, both transit operators celebrating their 2nd anniversary here at Mountain Line. I think Daryl's eyes are closed in his picture. Shocking.
Yes.
Daryl is one of our operators who continues to improve and challenge himself daily. He is focused and tends to think outside the box. He's always willing to lend a helping hand to others with a smile. Joe Watt is one of Mountain Line's top performers. Joe is always courteous, friendly, and extremely personable to everyone he meets. Joe maintains his personality while performing with one of the safest performance records here at Mountain Line. Joe holds himself to very high expectations, and it shows. So I'm glad to share these anniversaries with you. All of these employees get celebrated at different points throughout the month, but I appreciate the opportunity to share them here with you. And then I just have 2 quick announcements. Did you know it was Halloween this week? Because we celebrated. Earlier this week, we participated in the annual celebration of Halloween. We had several staff wear costumes and participate in our costume contest. We even had a few trick-or-treaters visit the building. You can see Jeremiah's holding Jeremiah on the right-hand side of the screen there. Totally cute costume. And our operations manager, Dave Doss, provided chili and fixins for our operators at the Downtown Connection Center, brought a little warmth to the day. And HR brought in several varieties of snacks to share. I think at the end of the day, no one went home hungry. And the last thing I'll share with you is that we were recently contacted by the food bank, Flagstaff Family Food Center. That Flagstaff Family Food Center, and they will be joining with Mountain Line, the county, and the city of Flagstaff for our annual Stuff the Bus event. So we will have a bus at Safeway on University Plaza on November 11th. And like discussed last month, we would love to have one or more of our TAC and board members join us in their Mountain Line gear to support staff and our community in this important event. So we will get more information to you all soon. If you're able to join us, please let us know. I think Jackie will be sending that email out as soon as possible. And that is all I have for current events, since I filled your head with a lot of other stuff today.
Thank you, Heather. That is the end of our meeting. Just a reminder for folks, the next TAC meeting will be next year, January 4th. And so since we will not see each other or be together until then, I hope everybody has a very safe winter and holidays and enjoy, and hopefully everybody gets a chance just to breathe and relax a little bit. If there's nothing else for the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.